Dun 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 dun. Do 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 dun 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 dun. I can't do that Star Wars theme song anymore because I'm gonna catch a lawsuit. People are gonna think it's the actual Star Wars orchestra. I don't think there's anything better cinematically, I think that's a word, than when you're about to watch a Star Wars movie. Even now, even the new ones, they stick to there's something about Star Wars. Obviously, they are riding hard on the nostalgic transition swipes. Everything about Star Wars is nostalgic. And I'm good with it. It's like going to a strip club and knowing they're going to lie to you. I'm like, hey, I know what you're doing right now, but I'm going to let you grind up on me with that Star Wars themed pelvis. But I'm okay with it, and I'll pay you for it because I'm enjoying it too. You know, I got nothing wrong with Star Wars being a stripper and feeding on my nostalgic resources. Anyway, there is nothing like that when you go to watch a movie, and I feel like I'm very weirdly loud right now. I don't know what's going on with my shit. Anyway, back to the story. Pay attention. We're back. When you go to watch a Star Wars movie and that music hits, oh, dun, and the big screen Star Wars, and then you see the fucking story. They're giving you kind of the preface. Someone call me right now. Fuck them. It's May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you, okay? But not those telemarketers that blow up my goddamn phone all goddamn day. I love that. I love the whole experience with watching Star Wars, start to finish. Everybody listen. When you have something like Star Wars and so many people's childhood is wrapped around it, you're going to get some haters. You're going to get people saying that you did it the wrong way and blah, blah, blah. I don't think they could make a Star Wars movie that would make everybody happy, you know? I just don't see it being possible. And obviously I'm on a Star Wars kick because today is May the 4th, okay? Surprise, it's Monday the 4th, okay? Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo if you're celebrating it. But we're talking about Star Wars right now. You're never going to make someone happy when their whole childhood revolves around it. And people get upset about Star Wars. I love it. I take it for what it is. Like the originals, they're so good. They're amazing. The storyline, everything, the nostalgic, like, and for the time, I didn't even live through the time of Star Wars when it first came out, but my parents have told me, like, it was revolutionary when that shit dropped. I remember as a kid going to see it. This is funny. I went to see A New Hope as a kid, and I remember sitting like in the front row. They re-released it in theaters and being like, what the fuck is this? Like, still being mind blown. And what's funny is, like, when it got to the end of A New Hope, you obviously see there's no real conclusion to the story because it's it's a trilogy. I didn't know that at the time when I was a little kid. So I'm like, so that dude's just still out there, Darth Vader, we're just gonna let him go. And then I learned, oh, there's 2 more. Cool, cool, cool. And then I think they released the other movies, but I ended up watching it on VHS. I got all 3 of them and I watched it. I loved it. They're just so nostalgic. And Star Wars has been like something that me and my brother Sean bonded over. We, like, when they were like episode 1 was coming out, we like went and waited in line for like 4 hours to buy the like premiere tickets and everything. And we just love Star Wars. We would play the Star Wars card game. Oh, I love that shit. Me and my brother had a technique. We were super into Pokemon and Star Wars card game. We weren't allowed to play Magic for some reason. My mom was like, it's the devil's work. But surprise, your son's the devil. We would go to like a card game store and we would hang out with all those nerds. But we would also buy the card packs. That was such a good time. You would have money to have like $10. You're like, I'm getting 2 fucking packs. And you would get every pack had like a rare card in it, but it wouldn't always have a foil. And then I developed a technique to where we could like shake the little pack like this, and you could hear the sound of a foil on the back of a card. So we would do that. We'd be sitting there like, and you'd hear that little, and you'd be like, I want this pack. There'd always be a foil in it. I remember one time my brother and I went to this card store. This dude was a dickhead. Not my brother. The guy who was working there. Some fucking burnout. Was like 22. Long hair. Just drinking Slurpees and eating Doritos. My brother and I, we like, we're going in, and I told the guy, we were looking at everything, and I was like, dude, I got a technique to pick them. And I was like, I'm going to buy a card. I'm going to buy a pack of cards. But he was like, nah, I don't believe you. I was like, okay. And then I was like, was going there with the intention to buy a pack of cards. And I remember, so the way we had it worked out with my brother, so we wouldn't fight over cards, all dark side cards I got. So if it was Sith or something like that, I got them. If it were the light side, my brother got them. So that's the way we split it up. And it represented our relationship well. He was always the good kid, very Jedi-like. I was always the bad kid, very dark side, Sith-like. Anyway, moving back. The guy's like, yeah, whatever. All right, go and pick your pack. So the guy, I go through, I do my little process. I pick the pack that I'm like, oh, there's a foil in here. The guy's like, let me see it. He takes it, he opens it, boom. Not only was there a foil in there, there was an ObiWan Kenobi foil, which my brother really wanted. He loved ObiWan Kenobi. He didn't have that rare card. The guy goes, wow, that was pretty good. And so I hold out my hand to get the pack that I just got. And he goes, no. This is my pack. I just wanted to see if you would do it. And I was like, dude, come on. I told you I was going to buy one. I picked a pack. He was like, sorry, dude. And the reason why he didn't want to give it to me is because like those ones, the foil, the ObiWan Kenobi, it was like the rarest one in the game, I think. It was worth like $50. So he was like, sorry, kid. And he like went and added it to his collection. And I was like, what a dickhead. And then I remember being like, my brother was bummed out because he thought he was going to get his ObiWan Kenobi. I felt bad because I'd just been hoodwinked. And because like if I would have got nothing, would he have been like, yeah, enjoy your pack? Like, seriously, what a shit thing to do with your power, if you will. An abuse of power, okay? And if y'all protesting COVID-19, go protest this dude in this game card shop, okay? Anyway, so then I go through and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go through here and do it again. So I'm going through this box, blah, blah, blah. I'm moving through it, picking. I go, this pack. I take it so this fuckface can't have it. I open it. Boom. Another foil. ObiWan Kenobi. Boom. I did it. I got back-to-back the rarest cards in the whole thing, okay, in the entire galaxy. My brother was so excited, he kissed me on my forehead in front of everybody. There was tons of other kids and shit. I remember I like kind of pushed him off. I was like, bro, don't fucking kiss me in front of people, okay? It's not cool. I'm like 10 years old. Not cool, bro. But so whatever that nerd virgin dude out there was, suck it, okay, dickhead. You ruined that for me and my brother at that moment, but it doesn't matter. The universe works out the way it should. Anyway, happy May 4th be with you, okay? Feeling real excited. Probably going to watch Star Wars tonight. And yeah, just looking forward to it. I like the latest ones. I thought it wrapped up great. I think when you have a movie that has too many different directors and too many different writers, you're never going to get a conclusion and a good timeline of things going in one direction. It's going to be like a weird smorgasbord of random little things. The thing about like, if you watch The Mandalorian, I almost called it the Baby Yoda show. Let's be real. That's what it is. I thought it was amazing. And I think there's something too. I'm against this binge dropping a whole season, binge watch a show thing. Okay. I think there's something to releasing a show every week. I like it. I like the build up, the suspense, letting you kind of marinate. And you also don't overdo it to where it's like, I got all of these, you know. It's like when you go out to eat too much. After a while, it becomes normal and it's not like a treat. But I liked how they put out The Mandalorian every week. But one thing that I did notice is that they would have different director and different writer and different everything almost every episode. And maybe it was like a way of filtering through and kind of using that first season as a way to figure out how they wanted to do the show. And certain episodes were much better than the previous ones. And some of them kind of almost felt like small stories that didn't necessarily contribute to a bigger story. It was more just like one-off adventures that didn't really do anything. but they were necessary in some ways, where we got a little tidbit to take with us into the next episode. But I thought it wrapped up beautifully, and I'm looking forward to the next season. But I thought that show was amazing, and they really got everybody. That first fucking episode when they just show a little baby Yoda. You just gonna drop a little baby Yoda like that? Man, baby Yoda been getting some people through this pandemic. There's nothing better than baby Yoda memes, huh? Moving on. Let's see. Something I've been seeing going on social media that it's kind of, I was on board with it completely. And then the more I think about it, it's like it gets more and more silly. I even saw when the whole Galago Day, all the actors were doing their singing thing, like that was going to help inspire the world. I was like, this is so ridiculous, and this isn't what the world needs. I thought what the Parks and Recreation, I don't know if you guys saw that. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You can watch it free on NBC.com. Parks and Recreation did a special quarantine episode, and it was great. And all it was entertaining. It was just a moment where you got lost in the story again. It was nostalgic, and you got people to come together and do something that made people laugh. And that's what it gets back to, is people want to be like, put these posts of like, remember after this pandemic, it wasn't the actors or the blah, blah, blah. We found out they were worthless. And then make sure you remember this when, this is over, to acknowledge the Target worker and the guy who put the milk carton in that container for you. Actors are worthless. And then they turn around and just binge watch Netflix all day. All the actors work. Like, I think there is a service to that, where it's like entertainment and everything like that is vital during, I think, a pandemic. Like it is a huge, whether you want to deny it at all, it is a huge thing to be entertained during all of this. I'm not one person who looks at like a podcast or doing stand-up during a pandemic as like this service I'm doing or something like that. I'm just doing it. Okay. I'm not really, I enjoy it and everything, and I want to make people laugh. And if it gives you a little bit of moment where you're not thinking about shit going on, that's amazing. That's actually like one of the best things that I've gotten after a stand-up show, was when people told me, they're like, we needed this so much. It was so great just to relax. And it means so much to me because I've had that done for me. Whether I got lost, and like that's one of the things I love going to the movies, which is a bummer not to go to the movie theater right now, because it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, where I'm not thinking about bills, where I'm not thinking about the stress of like, what am I trying to accomplish? What is time going faster? And like, I'm just, everybody has thoughts and like those, doubts and everything like that. But sometimes those hour and a half moments in a theater where you're like, you're not looking at your phone, you're not getting pulled out of the story, you're engulfed in this other world completely. It's an escape from reality. And it's like a thing where it's like, it's therapeutic to me in a lot of ways, where I can just churn everything off and get lost in a story. Like something like, that's why sometimes I think people give Marvel and movies like that a bad rap. Sometimes it's just fun to get lost in those worlds and just to get caught up in it. And it's so cheesy. Yeah, we know what's going to happen, but it's still a fun ride. And sometimes I don't like these drama movies when people try too hard to just make the movie everyday life. And I'm just like, okay, we're painting a story and there's a place for it, but that doesn't discredit, Marvel and everything like that, killing cinema. I don't buy it. I think Marvel's done some amazing things. And Disney, I'll say it, I'm on the side of Disney. I think they've done some amazing things and like push the envelope with technology and what actually can be accomplished in film. You got people like Martin Scorsese, who I love as like a vintage filmmaker. Yeah, I just called him old. But as a filmmaker, I love what he's perfected. It's a certain type of cinema and a mood, and almost you can taste his style of movie. You know what I'm saying? You can smell the room. When you have Robert De Niro at a table, and you can smell the cigar smoke in the scene. The lights are perfectly dim. The angles, what he's trying to elicit. You get all that from a movie like that. There's also such a high level of special effects in a Marvel movie. that's never been accomplished. There's certain angles and things that I'll see in like a Marvel movie where after I have to go home and Google it. I have to look at all the different angles and camera shots they did because I'm like, how did they even do that? And then it inspires me. So all that being said, I don't see the whole thing of people saying actors are worthless and like they just play pretend and blah blah blah. I think there is something to their service. I don't necessarily think it's some of them obviously take themselves too serious and they think they're doing a bigger thing than they really are. But I do see them as a service to our world, our economy, and just inspiring people. You're going to tell me that at some point, whether you're a fighter or something, you didn't watch Rocky, get inspired, and go eat a fucking raw egg, just try to drink that shit? I did. You better believe it. When I was like 12 years old, I saw Rocky. I literally jumped down from the bunk bed. I watched it on like a 9-inch TV, a little VHS TV that didn't even have cable. It was just like a little 9-inch TV that was like, I don't know, it's one that you'd put in like your travel motorhome when you were old or like in the 90s. And I watched Rocky on it on VHS. I remember after that movie finished, it was nighttime. It was like 9 o'clock. I got down. I tied my pillow to the bed, like to the pole, bunk bed, and I just start punching that shit. Bah, 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 bah. Hooks to the body, pretending I was in that fucking freezer. Bah, working on them cows. Then I went downstairs the next day, drank raw eggs. Probably the reason I am the way I am now, because I ate raw eggs as a little kid. But the first time I tried doing it, I didn't stir the eggs up because I want to do it just like Rocky did it. And I remember when I tried to swallow it, it was such a weird texture and the yolk hit the back of my throat weird. And I did one of these, like I almost threw up, like it put in my gag reflex. Didn't work out that well. I had to like back into the cup, had to stir it up. I still got that protein though, bars. So yeah, I think people get inspired by movies and everybody wants to, I think vicariously, like when we say things like we live vicariously through things, I think that's why some people cry in movies. I'll get emotional watching a movie. I'll get emotional when it's like, everybody does. Like you watch like one of those Facebook videos where they're like, try not to cry watching this. But you see some shit of like a son or a kid at school, and then his dad is like in the Marines or the military, and he shows up in his classroom and is like, hey, sport. And then the kid just runs to him, and the kid is crying. So you're just like, like those are the worst. Like when you see military parents come home, that'll get me. And I think it's because when it's like in that form of entertainment, we put ourselves in that situation. Which is why you can draw inspiration from it, entertainment, and it can even just be a distraction. It doesn't have to be that crazy of a thing. So I think it's silly when people say actors are worthless and didn't do anything during this pandemic. Bitch, all you're doing is Netflix marathons. All you're doing is Netflix marathons. Good percentage of you. Some of you may be like, no, I'm not watching anything. You're a liar. You're a liar. Delicious. Also, one thing that in that same vein, what's great about watching movies that you watch when you were a kid and even just getting older, it's the same thing with music, is you start seeing things and understanding certain things that you never understood before. It could be anything. When you're a little kid, listen to like a breakup song. Dude, I remember one time when I was a little kid, I never even had a girlfriend. I was taking a bath as a little kid, and I had a CD player or the radio in there. Wasn't dropping it in there that would be crazy, a little suicide. No, I had the radio completely dry on the counter. And Cher came on. And I remember it was like, do you believe in life after love? And I remember it resonating so hard. I had no idea what she was talking about, but I still felt it. And then after I got older, I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay. Like now I get it. I get what you're saying, Cher. And yes, I do believe in life after love. Okay. Moving on. Speaking of love, this is a perfect segue. My girlfriend wanted me to say that she feels misrepresented on the internet because ever since I started playing Xbox and becoming a professional gamer, if you will, she feels like there's too much talking about how girlfriends don't support their gamer boyfriends. And you know what? She's supportive. She respects my time when I'm training on Xbox, when I'm working in the gulag. She supports me, okay? When she goes under the TV, she makes sure she goes out of the screen so I don't die in gulag. And it's just one of those things that, you know, you got to choose the right person. If they're not supporting you during your Xbox times, they're not the one, fam. They're not the one. You just have to limit it. That's the thing that I think I'm getting better at. And as I get older and become an old man, limiting things that are limiting everything in your life. You can't have too much of one thing. So if you're a person who's playing like 6 to 8 hours of video games a day and it's not the weekend, hey, you got to rethink your life, okay? So I put parameters on it because I could slip away into that world. Your boy's a natural gamer, and I suppressed this side of me for like 10 years probably. 10 years at least. I used to play Diablo, the video game, online. I'd play it the entire weekend. Like I literally would just get food in me, sleep like maybe 3 hours, and then I'd get back on Diablo. Couldn't be stopped. Wouldn't be stopped. So I naturally have that gene, but I just suppress it to where I'm like, I still have to get all my shit done. I can't start playing until like 6 p.m. And that's one of the things about like having your own business. You have to completely discipline your life to where it's like, if I fuck off, everything suffers. So I have to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to stay on track. So yeah, moving on. She just wanted to say that. I saw on the news this weekend, murder hornets. Murder hornets are in the U.S. As if things couldn't get worse, okay? I've seen plenty of memes about how in May the skies were going to open, Godzilla was going to come down, or aliens were just going to drop in, which I'm ready for. And that's kind of funny. They just released that Pentagon footage. Like, that could happen. It could happen. But one thing that is here is murder hornets. And I don't know if you've seen this, but if you YouTube Brave the Wilderness, I believe his name is, something Coyote. Fuck. I just watched one of his videos. We'll call him Coyote Pete. Anyway, he goes out and he allows these crazy animals and bugs to bite him. And he let this murder hornet bite him. This thing is like 2 or 3 inches big. And what's crazy about it is it's an invasive species from Japan. How it got here, oh, I don't know, Japanese people. I'm going to start saying that. Where's the murder hornet from? Or why are we calling it the Japanese murder hornet? Because it's from Japan, okay? Just like coronavirus is from China, okay? Apparently, they're going to be a big deal because they're attacking the bees. They're attacking the bees, and that's not good for our agriculture. I did see a thing where it was like flies or something actually pollinate more than bees do, which is terrible if that's true. But it's crazy. These murder hornets are literally like 3 inches big, and they have their head is the size of like a chewed up piece of chewing gum, and the shape. Like they're literally that big, and they're terrifying looking. They look like they're like as big as cockroaches, bigger, and they're thick. They look like they haven't skipped leg day at the gym. They're diesel little hornets. One thing I always thought was cool is the way that bees kill hornets. If you've never seen this, go on YouTube and check it out. There's this defense mechanism that bees have where they wait. They have like a little scout outside the beehive just watching, keeping his eyes on his periph, you know, and he's waiting in the scene. You'll see a hornet, and the hornets are assholes. They just want to fuck shit up in the beehive family. So they'll see a beehive and just go in there and start fucking shit up. Or they'll go they'll send a scout, they'll go investigate, be like, oh shit, here's the beehive. They'll fly back, and then they'll bring back all their friends from their gang. The bees will see this, the scout's like, oh shit, a hornet's coming. Go back in the beehive, do a little bzz, bzz dance to let them know, yo, shit's about to go down. Lock it up. And when the beehive tries to do a lockdown. Not a lot of the bees don't jump around and go, hey, let's protest. This isn't real. There's no hornet. They're just trying to control us and shut down the honey. Anyway, but the bees will hide in the beehive. They'll be all up on the walls waiting. The hornet will make its way in. They ambush it. They grab the hornet, all the bees. We're talking like 100 bees. They land on it. They all lock up holding it down, and they start vibrating. Just bzzz. And when they're vibrating, they're creating heat. And then what they do is they bring the temperature up to like 450 degrees, enough to cook the hornet. And what's crazy about that is they bring themselves within inches of dying. Like they barely have a temperature higher than the hornet of what would kill them. So they bring themselves just to the inch of death. And then once the hornet is dead, they're like, drop them. I always thought that shit was fascinating. That's what's amazing about nature, is life finds a way. I saw one thing that Mike Tyson hitting the mitts. If you haven't seen this video of Mike Tyson hitting the mitts, you have got to go watch it. I believe he posted it on his Instagram. Mike Tyson is my canary in a coal mine. I always still get the itch to fight and compete because I feel like I didn't fulfill that completely with boxing and everything. School got in the way, which it's no excuse. If you want to do something, you do it. Fuck whatever is happening. But I still get that itch, and I feel like I haven't really lost a lot. I'm sure there's timing and things like that, and I would have to train smarter, but like part of me still wants to do a few things. I feel like I've gotten better and better as I get older, just learning about technique and being smarter with training. And seeing Mike Tyson hit the pads is just like, oh, that is so beautiful. Mike Tyson looks like he would still fuck up 95% of the heavyweight division. Amazing. Probably the light heavyweight division. Would have to see his cardio and everything like that. But just to see Mike Tyson move at 53 years old is insane. It's insane the way his body mechanics still work. Like, he is an example of someone who's perfected a style, perfected movement for like the highest achieving ability for that discipline. Like, you can say what you will about like there's some people whose philosophy is that you're just supposed to be a certain way for your sport. And there's some people who are like, you should be able to adapt to every single environment. But then there's like some people who commit completely to their craft and perfect the small basics within that. Like, that's the whole thing with Mike Tyson, the way he moves and everything. He's like perfected the basics to a point where it's so autopilot that he's able to move as fast as he can without even thinking about things, the way his body is and everything. It's just beautiful. So if you haven't seen the way he does it, just go do yourself a favor. Go look at it on Instagram. But I was like, why is he doing this? And I started seeing things about him training for a fight again. And I'm like, what? I would personally love to see it. And it's a double-edged sword, because on the other side, I'm like, there's no reason to do it, Mike. There's no reason. Brain damage for one, but I don't think Mike would really get hit that much. It would have to be obviously against someone else near his level and age, conditioning. But he was saying, this is a quote from this article, "I've been hitting the mitts for the last week," Tyson said. "I think I'm going to box some exhibitions and get in shape. I want to go to the gym and get in shape to be able to box 3 or 4 round exhibitions for some charities and stuff. Some charity exhibitions make some money, help some homeless and drug affected expletives like me." Drug affected. I don't know what, I'm trying to fill in the blank of what bad word he could have said. In a span of 4 seconds, Tyson releases 6 power punches with pauses to a heavily armored trainer who exclaims KO after his mitts. After his mitts is on the receiving end of a vicious right cross. Listen, I don't have a reading problem, okay? I'm very far away from the computer and trying to read like 8 font right now. But yeah, that article, you can't quote Mike Tyson like that. You gotta be like, "I've been hitting the mitts for the last week," Tyson said. "I think I'm gonna box with some exhibitions and get in shape. I want to go to the gym and get in shape and able to box like 3 or 4 round exhibitions for some money, help out some homeless motherfuckers like me." That was like Mike Tyson's accent back back when he was like Iron Mike Tyson. That isn't the current Mike Tyson. Current Mike Tyson is like a philosopher. That's the beautiful thing, is like he's such a historian of boxing and fighting and strategy and war, that if you hear him talk about like Alexander the Great and all these different like historical characters, it's amazing. And you realize how much work he's put into his craft of strategy and being like a philosophizer. Yeah, philosophizer. But it's crazy to see. And I was going to go somewhere else with that, but I just forgot it. Oh, one of the things that I love most about Mike Tyson is before this, he didn't want to hit the mitts. He never wanted to train or hit the bag because he always said it would bring up his ego. And that's something that he says he's killed completely. Like, he doesn't like talking about fighting. He doesn't like talking about who he was before. When he was fighting, because he says it draws up his ego, and that if he started hitting the mitts in the bag again, that ego would come back and that guy would come back. So it's kind of crazy to see him be so self-aware to the point where he is looking at his ego like that, and he's doing things to stop that old Mike Tyson from coming back. But I think it would be a completely different Mike Tyson. Man, it's just beautiful to watch. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think about it like that. Like, will he, you know, when he says he doesn't want to go to that mind space of who he was before, I bet there would be an evolved version of that. It's like people always think like to get back to doing a certain thing, you have to get in that mind state. But like when I first started doing music, and that's the thing, is like I've been getting the itch to do music again. And it's like when I first started music, I wasn't in a good place. Music came to me as like a tool or something I used to get out of that space. And then it's like you sometimes feel when you're doing something that if you don't have that edge or that dark side or something like that, you're not going to be able to produce anything. But I think it's completely the opposite, is that while you think that was something that was fueling you, it was something that was probably holding you back from your own potential, getting in the way of just doing the work. That's why, like, a lot of times I'm very methodical with the way I write stand-up and the way I just work and do creative stuff, is because I don't like to rely on some inspiration or passion or, you know, this like magical thing to be inspired by. I think you really got to, like, the people who put out the most stuff, you really just have to look at it like a job and just being objective and getting out of your own way. So I think Mike Tyson, if he was scared about that old Mike Tyson coming back, I don't think there's even a chance of that, because he's not even that same person. He's not even in that same mindset. And I would just like to see him come back, just for an exhibition. Yeah, just for an exhibition, maybe beat some people up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has gotten out of hand. I just wanted to say thank you to the people who have been listening to this. It means the world to me when you guys reach out and tell me you're enjoying the podcast. That isn't a prompt for you to reach out and tell me you're enjoying it, but it is nice. I just found out today that I inspired someone else to start a podcast who was on the podcast, and that makes me so happy. And I don't know. I think it's a great thing, and I'm excited to hear that person's podcast. Maybe I'll have them come on to promote it when they got it up and running. So, all right, guys, just remember, at the end of the day, I love you.